Hi guys, Sandy here, welcome. Let's talk some negative painting, shall we? Today we're doing it with watercolor, but the same principle applies for any kind of painting, really. And we're actually keeping it real simple, no gimmicks, no masking fluid, no particular painting skills needed either, just us and the paint. Are you ready? Let's go. Okay, so what is negative painting exactly? Well, it's when you essentially paint around your subject, its surroundings, the backgrounds and whatnot, and that makes that subject pop. Now we start by picking a shape to work with. We could do whatever we want, really, but I promise simple. So, okay, I just had the most brilliant idea. Let me get, here we go. Okay, I have this leftover watercolor paper and I'm just going to tear it into pieces, like so. Several different sizes or just one and use that. And I'll just use these as my templates. So one like this, maybe a tinier one. Yeah, let's see these two. Now we can use just one size or 3 or 4 or, whatever you want. And then we just draw that shape onto the paper without overlapping. So we just get our paper. I wish it had color. Okay, I'll just use this size so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm just going to draw the shape, draw the shape onto the paper, just like so. So there's one. Let's get maybe a bigger one. I really meant it. You can use whatever shape you want. You can get like a small lid and draw circles, whatever shape you prefer. You can get cookie cutters if that's what works for you. Anything is possible for the sake of this exercise, okay? That is not the most important thing we are doing here today. And 3, and I think we are done for now. Let me just, yeah. Okay, so we have just drawn our shapes. Oh, and by the way, I am using Academy 100% watercolor paper for this one. And the reason why I'm not using cheaper paper for what's essentially an exercise is simple. This is a block, so no need to tape it onto anything. And since negative painting is all about layering, I will be using quite a big amount of water for it. So if I were to use cellulose paper, cheaper paper, that paper would warp like crazy to begin with, and probably would just stop absorbing water at some point. So for this, I think we need good absorbent paper. And I'm using my Winsor & Newton watercolor set for this one. And yes, if you'd like to watch me review the paper or the watercolors, there are videos you can watch and I will post the links in the description for you, okay? And then I'm just going to pick a brush, a large brush, because we are covering a big area. And this, you can even use this even larger one, the flat one, because these are really big surfaces and we don't want to waste any time. So I have just picked this green, I think it's called Windsor green actually. I'm just going to put it onto here and mix with a lot of water. Next step, before we continue, I'm going to just put a lot of water in our paper to make life easier for me. I'm not gonna go very near our shapes yet. I'm just going to paint around it, and it's quite a big space. For now, that will not always be the case because we will be filling these with shapes, but for now there's a really big space here and that we need to fill, and using a bigger brush really helps save us some time. Okay, I know I say this for every video, but I figure it is worth saying every single time. You cannot go dark to light with watercolors, okay? We need to start really light and then we darken our layers. There's just no other way, okay? And that's why I am starting this light. It may not look as light as you would think, but also watercolors, when dried, are just lighter than when they're wet. You know what they say, if you like the colors when it's wet, it will be too light once it's finished. So while this may not look particularly light, trust me, it is pretty light. Now for this first layer, you get to decide if you want to keep your shapes just white or if you want to paint them over with this light value. For the sake of this exercise, I am leaving mine white so we can see the stark contrast later on, I'm trying not to get my hands and my arms covered in paint, which does tend to happen for these kinds of paintings where there's a lot of paint and I want to reach, you know, the higher parts, but the lower parts are already painted. Yeah. So now that I have painted all around my shapes, and I have chosen pretty easy shapes to make my life easier, let's say it like it is. So now I get to cover the whole thing. And you know, I like to keep my shapes really easy. I mean, let's face it, we've got enough on our plates as it is. We have so much to learn. Why not just make life easier for ourselves? Now I am adding a really light shade of blue. You can keep it all in one color. You can add a shade of blue if you want. I want to mix it up a little bit, make it a little bit more interesting. And I think this is the perfect way to do it. Now, if we were using masking fluid like I did for my first negative painting video, we could just cover the whole thing, or maybe just the limits with the masking fluid, wait for it to dry, and then just paint all over without a care in the world. But it just takes so much time to dry. I mean, if you've watched that video, you know it takes ages to dry, and you can't even use heat to make the process quicker. So no masking fluid this time. Okay guys, so I'm happy with this, and now we just wait for it to dry, or we make it dry with a heat gun, which, being an impatient person, is always my preferred option. Okay guys, so this is nice and dry, so time to pull out our scraps again and draw using them as templates. Please make sure this is really dry, because if not, you'll just reactivate these colors and blend the new ones instead of layering them, okay? That's really not what we want. So let's get our templates again, and this time we can definitely overlap them. Just make sure not to draw inside the white spaces, okay? No need for that. Okay, now let's go ahead and pick a darker value of the same color, or just another darker color to paint our second layer with. And I'm definitely staying with this color. I think it's gorgeous. So now we need to paint around our original shapes and the ones we just drew, okay? Okay guys, here we go. So yeah, I'm just starting by limiting the elements we don't want to paint, because it's the best way to keep them safe, and then we can paint more freely once we do that. So yeah, in that aspect, the masking fluid is kind of a trade-off. You take more time to do it, but you don't have to be as careful. You know, because if I had covered these spaces with masking fluid, or just the ends of it, I wouldn't need to worry when I was painting. So, and without the masking fluid, I need to be careful at this point. So you just need to decide what you prefer. Make it faster or make it easier. Plus, you know, the smell of the masking fluid is insanely bad. Or at least the one I've tried, the Winsor & Newton one. I don't know if they're all like that, but that one is absolutely disgusting. Okay, so do we want another color? Of course. And now we don't need to be so shy about it. We can add bolder colors. Okay, I think we are done painting this second layer, and now we dry it before moving on, and you can probably see where this is going. We're just going to keep drawing, painting, and drying over and over again until we're happy with our result. Let's do that. Okay guys, and I think we are pretty much done other than just having to wait for it to dry. And can you just see how the darker background makes the different layers pop? Like the white ones are just on top of the others, ready to pop off the page, and the others are like drowning into the darkness, like we're throwing a bunch of paper into deep water and they're just sinking, and the white ones are the ones that are on top. This is the beauty of negative painting, and the results are so awesome, so gorgeous. Plus, like I've said 1,000 times, it is just so much fun. Okay, so how is this looking? Let's see, how many layers did we do? This was the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. 6 layers. Really fun, really quick exercise to make, and as you can see, this is such an easy, oh, this is actually my last one. Okay, this is such an easy, such a simple, such a quick, such a fun way to do a little bit of negative painting, and I think I'm getting hooked, if I'm honest. I am loving making these, and I hope you enjoy them as well, and that you will give them a try, because I think you will love making these. Guys, thank you so much for doing this with me. I clearly had a blast. I hope you did too, and I will see you really, really soon. Bye bye!